Zhang Yi observed and pondered. This item had been used by the 4 great bases, which meant it was stable and reliable. The 4 great bases were not fools. If it had side effects, they wouldn't use it. Zhang Yi had also seen a member of the Shishan base use it, and no abnormal conditions appeared afterward. Could it be that Yuan Kongya's ice crystals were really just the key to unlocking superpowers? Zhang Yi mumbled for a while, then suddenly burst out laughing. What a joke, he didn't believe there was something so good in this world. In this apocalyptic world, everyone felt insecure. People were all thinking of ways to become stronger to protect themselves. Who was really selfless enough to help others? Who was altruistic enough to help others? However, given the nature of the Baishua sect, Zhang Yi couldn't trust them. Even if they were genuinely altruistic and wanted to enlighten the world, he wouldn't believe it. Zhang Yi always adhered to a simple principle: trust no one and nothing except yourself. However, the 2 ice crystals could create 2 superhumans. That was too great a temptation for him to ignore. While Zhang Yi was deep in thought, the burning eyes of everyone around him focused on him. Zhang Yi sensed the change in the atmosphere and couldn't help but look up. He saw Zhou Kuo, Yang Xia, and Lu Karen all looking at him with eyes full of expectation. The conversation between Zhang Yi and Su Chunlei had been overheard by everyone, and they all knew about the existence of the ice crystals. These 3 women did not have any superpowers, so they could only do support work. Especially Yang Xia, whose desire was the clearest. Compared to the other girls, she was less useful. Currently, she was almost just a housekeeper, taking care of household chores and helping Zhang Yi. She really wanted to get the ice crystal to become a superhuman. Yang Xinxin, though just an ordinary person, seemed quite calm, with no change in her expression. With her intelligence, Yang Xinxin naturally guessed that the ice crystal might contain unknown side effects. The members couldn't hide their curiosity, and Yang Xia was the first to speak up. Zhang Yi, should the 2 ice crystals be used? Her question revealed caution and inferiority. Such a good thing made her worry about whether she was worthy of using it. Zhang Yi looked at them, having already made up his mind. It would indeed be a pity not to use the ice crystals, but he wasn't comfortable using them on his important friends. Therefore, someone needed to be the experiment. Zhang Yi turned back to the sofa and sat down slowly. First is how to handle the ice crystals. Second is the battle plan. Anyway, according to Zhao Jianhua, the allied forces will attack in 3 days. Zhang Yi saw the eager eyes of the women and decided to first address the issue of the ice crystals. He calmly said, everyone has just heard that the ice crystals can help ordinary people awaken superpowers. The 4 great bases have used them before. So far, no side effects have been discovered, but I still don't feel at ease about them. I never believe that a pie will fall from the sky right in front of me. After Zhang Yi finished speaking, his eyes swept across everyone. In the room, the superhumans in the group didn't care much about the ice crystals. They already had powers and lived quite comfortably in the hideout, not really yearning to become stronger. Therefore, they weren't too interested in these potentially side effect-ridden ice crystals. Except for Yang Xinxin, all the ordinary people showed a strong desire. As an ordinary person, who wouldn't want to become a superhuman and gain extraordinary abilities? In the apocalypse, the more power you had, the higher your chances of survival. Zhang Yi looked at them. You need to think carefully. I will only use one of the 2 ice crystals. To be clear, the first person to use it will also be the guinea pig. If anyone wants to try, raise your hand. Hearing Zhang Yi's words, the women hesitated. They craved superpowers, but didn't want to face unknown risks. However, Yang Xia decisively raised her hand. I am willing to be the experiment. Her eyes sparkled with determination. As a woman who wanted to be strong, she didn't want to be just a worthless vase. When Yang Xia raised her hand, Zhou Kuo quickly followed suit. Zhang Yi nodded and smiled at Yang Xia. Your will is very firm, so I have decided to let you use 1 ice crystal. Yang Xia, eyes full of joy, excitedly hugged Zhang Yi's neck. Thank you so much, Zhang Yi. Thank you for giving me such a great opportunity. Zhang Yi looked at her intently and said, silly girl, my love for you is as deep as the ocean. Who else would I take care of if not you? Though he said this, Zhang Yi was thinking differently in his heart. He had already determined that the person most suitable was undoubtedly Yang Xia. Firstly, if it was to be an experiment, the person should have the least impact. If something unexpected happened, the damage wouldn't affect the normal operation of the hideout. In this regard, only Yang Xia and Zhou Kuo fit the criteria in the team. Zhou Kuo was a doctor, and Lu Karen was an important technical staff member. They couldn't participate in the experiment. Secondly, the person needed to be easily controlled, as Zhang Yi wasn't sure what effect the ice crystal would produce. After usage, if there were no side effects, it would be like effortlessly creating a superhuman. Therefore, the person had to be one of his own. Considering both factors, Yang Xia was definitely the most suitable choice. Yang Xia volunteering herself saved Zhang Yi quite a bit of effort. Zhang Yi asked Yang Xia to sit down first and then discussed the next battle plan with everyone. The current situation had changed, and both the Qingpu base and the Baishua sect could be utilized. He said, "My view is that we should temporarily forget about leveraging these two forces. We can't trust any of them. They might come to deceive us and could very likely betray us temporarily. Therefore, we still need to prepare well to face forces from all sides. But if any unexpected incidents happen on the battlefield." Zhang Yi smiled wickedly, crossed his arms over his chest, and spoke with hidden meaning, "Our hideout will become their grave. The battle plan doesn't need much change, just adding flexibility. We need to consider the two forces as uncertain factors and not overlook any potential flaws." After the discussion, everyone was most eager about the use of the ice crystal on Yang Xia. They were all curious about its miraculous effect and the method of use, which was quite simple. According to Zhao Jianhua's instructions, before leaving, just place it on the forehead, and it will automatically integrate into the user's body. For safety reasons, Zhang Yi chose a sturdy room and then tied Yang Xia to the bed to conduct the experiment. Yang Xia showed an expression of anticipation and nervousness. She was so excited that her whole body trembled slightly. She was waiting for her fate to change. Zhang Yi gently placed an ice crystal on Yang Xia's forehead. Everyone held their breath, tense but full of expectation. The scene before them showed the ice crystal making delicate, tentacle-like patterns as it adhered to her head. Immediately after, everyone witnessed the ice crystal melt like snow, merging into Yang Xia's head. It was a phenomenon of cellular integration, completely merging with the human body. Yang Xia's eyes became empty, losing focus. The entire process took less than 2 seconds. The ice crystal had fully integrated into her head, leaving only a white glowing streak on her forehead, which shimmered briefly before disappearing. Yang Xia showed signs of fatigue on her face and quickly fell into a deep sleep. Zhang Yi told everyone, "Next, we need to observe her changes. Let's go outside first." The room is equipped with a monitoring system and the walls are made of alloy, so any unexpected incidents can be handled promptly. The effects of the so-called ice crystal would soon be known to Zhang Yi. He had instructed everyone to stay alert in the coming days, because Zhao Jianhua's statement about the attack in 3 days might be false. Currently, no one could be trusted, the attack might come tonight. Everyone understood the gravity of the situation and returned to prepare, but the preparation was just to recheck what had already been arranged. After everyone had left, Zhang Yi called Zhou Kuo back. "Zhou Kuo, you will be responsible for monitoring Yang Xia. If she shows any abnormalities, inject her with a dose of muscle relaxant and sedative." Zhou Kuo nodded, "Got it, I will get the medication right away." Her expression became sad, as if she was a bit jealous and resentful. Zhang Yi couldn't help but smile. He understood why Zhou Kuo was unhappy. It was because he had decided to use the ice crystal on Yang Xia and not her. He took Zhou Kuo's hand and gently stroked her cheek. "Do you really think I didn't give you the ice crystal because I care more about her? On the contrary, it's because I care more about you. I worry that the ice crystal might cause side effects, so I didn't let you use it. Don't you understand my feelings?" Zhou Kuo looked at Zhang Yi in surprise. "So that's what you were thinking?" Zhang Yi pulled her hand, smiling, and said, "Never trust something given by a stranger. In the apocalypse, any negligence can be fatal. You are a very important doctor in our team. With your abilities, you are more valuable than a superhuman. But Yang Xia is different. She needs to take risks to prove her worth. That's why I chose the ice crystal for her. Do you understand my reasoning now?" After hearing Zhang Yi's explanation, Zhou Kuo finally understood his concerns and felt a warmth in her heart. It turned out that Zhang Yi didn't let her use the ice crystal because he valued her abilities and wanted to protect her. Zhou Kuo bit her lip, accepting Zhang Yi's explanation. "I understand," she said, and obediently went to the medical room to prepare the medication. The current situation had become complicated. The major forces in Tianhai City were not on good terms, often clashing with each other. Both sides bore grudges against Zhang Yi and coveted his territory, determined to seize his hideout. Zhang Yi glanced at Zhou Kuo's retreating figure and thought, as long as she listens obediently, that's enough. Don't let any unnecessary thoughts arise. Zhang Yi erased the smile from his face and returned to his bedroom alone. He picked up the phone and called Xingtian. "Hello, Zhang Yi, have you made up your mind?" Xingtian asked. Zhang Yi nodded. "I've thought it through. We can cooperate, but I want to change the terms of our cooperation." Xingtian looked intrigued. "How do you want to cooperate?" Zhang Yi replied, "Regarding the amount of food you mentioned, I will provide double. But I must win this battle." Xingtian's expression became serious. You want me to help you? That's impossible. The Qingpu base has always maintained a neutral stance. I don't want to fight with you, nor do I want to offend the other three forces at the same time. Zhang Yi shook his head. No, I don't need you or anyone else to fight. I just need you to bring your people and pretend to join the attack. Xingtian was skeptical. You want me to bring my people to put on a show? Zhang Yi, what are you planning to do? Zhang Yi laughed. You don't need to worry about what I want to do. There's no conflict of interest or enmity between us. As long as you can bring your people and put on a show, I will give you double the food. Do you accept this offer or not? Xingtian pondered, feeling that such a good opportunity couldn't be refused. However, he still didn't understand Zhang Yi's purpose. After careful consideration, he realized that merely putting on a show wouldn't cost his base anything. Zhang Yi also didn't seem to have any intention of harming him. So, he laughed loudly, ha ha, very well, such a good opportunity can't be refused. But first, you need to send the food to show your good faith. Xingtian thought, anyway, agreeing to this won't cause me any loss. It's a profitable deal. Zhang Yi said, I will send you 1/3 as a deposit first. After the task is completed, I will deliver the remaining portions. Xingtian thought for a moment and agreed. Good. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., we will meet at the initial location of the Xishan base for the transaction. Agreed, let's stick to that. After the conversation, Zhang Yi's plan gradually became clearer. He relaxed, placed the phone on the bed, and continued to contemplate. He could have chosen for the Qingpu base not to participate in the battle, but instead, he decided to pay a higher price to have Qingpu base join as a genuine actor. This approach served two important purposes. Firstly, if the Qingpu base didn't participate, Zhao Yu and the Yangxing base would be more cautious and also more guarded against the Baixue sect. If the Baixue sect backstabbed them as agreed, the effect might not be as good as expected. And if the Qingpu base also participated, Zhao Yu and the Yangxing base would be more confident, initially appearing to be allied with Qingpu base and the Baixue sect. But in the worst-case scenario, they might still face a situation where all four major forces joined forces to attack. At worst, they would directly abandon the two-story building on the ground and retreat to the underground, which had stronger defenses. This was the worst possible outcome. Once it came to that, he would ensure those enemies met a miserable end. It was past midnight when Zhang Yi's door was suddenly knocked on forcefully. Zhang Yi, Zhang Yi. Yang Xia, she's undergoing a change. Outside was the worried voice of Zhou Kur. Zhang Yi quickly got up from his bed. Let's go check on her. If Yang Xia showed signs of losing control, he would not hesitate to incapacitate her. In an uncontrolled state, he wouldn't rule out the possibility of having to kill her. Superhumans were inherently unpredictable. Zhou Kur followed closely behind Zhang Yi, sensing the unusual tension in his demeanor. She didn't dare to breathe heavily. Zhang Yi and Zhou Kur entered the room. The previous abnormal signs such as sweating and redness on Yang Xia's body had disappeared. She was panting, lying on the bed unable to move due to the effects of the injected drugs. Yang Xia, Zhang Yi called softly, not approaching her. Yang Xia slowly opened her eyes. Seeing Zhang Yi, she tried to smile happily. Zhang Yi, I succeeded.